If you're a new puppy owner or you're about to become a new puppy owner, you're probably doing lots of research about how to give your puppy the best information. Well, in today's video, we're going to give you 5 tips for puppy training that will set your puppy up for a lifetime of successful learning. I'm Ken Steep.
And I'm Mark Herford.
And this is Rev. Welcome back to McCann Dogs. So Mark, talk a little bit about using a house line with Rev, when you might use it, why you're using it, the benefits of using a house line.
Yeah, so with a little puppy like this, honestly at this point she doesn't really know a whole lot, and she's just going to be a little wild child at the house and running around. So I need some way of being able to maintain a little bit more control on her.
Sure.
Throughout the house. If this kid gets away from me, she's running underneath tables, she's running behind the couch, and the last thing I want to do is run after her, because if I'm running after her, then she's like, hey, this is awesome, and it's just a game of catch sort of thing.
Yeah.
So by having this long line, if she decides to go a little bit of distance from me and I need to get her closer to me, I can just step on it and I have full control over her.
Yeah, so anytime we're working with our puppies, we want to make sure that we do have control of them in case they decide to scoot away, or it just gives you a little bit more control, and it makes you look like a dog training superhero because you don't have to actually take hold of them for you to have a little bit more control.
Yeah, and the beauty is, even if I'm out in the backyard, I still have that long line on. She's only going to go, and when we're in the backyard sort of thing, like maybe 7-8 feet away from me, but I've got this long line on me that I can easily catch up to her at any time.
Now, something that a lot of us trainers will do with our new puppies is something called hand feeding. And I know, Mark, you feed her raw. You feed all of your dogs raw. But it's something that you could do, with your feeding process with your puppy. Tell our audience a little bit about what hand feeding could mean for them.
Yeah, no matter what you're feeding, it's really good, because what the purpose behind why we're doing that is we want these puppies to begin to realize that all good things come from us. And of course food, and especially a puppy being eternally hungry sort of thing. If the food comes from me, the puppy knows that I'm the one that provides all the necessities for it. And it just builds that relationship between us as handlers and the dog that much stronger.
Tell us a little bit about loading your puppy's name and how you can do that at their regular feeding time.
Yeah, so at this point right now, there's no point in calling Rev's name, because as much as Ken knows Rev's name, I was going to say Ken knows Ken's name, as much as Ken knows Rev's name and I know Rev's name, Rev has no idea what her name is at this point. So if I just sit there and call her name, nothing's going to happen, and we're just going to deaden that command. So what we like to do is we take a high value reward. Hopefully she's got a hungry belly, and we take that food, place it on the nose, call her name, and that will lure her towards us. But the reality is she's following the food, not the call to her name. Mm-hmm. But right away there's name, reward, name, reward, name, reward. For sure. And she starts to build value in that name. Yeah,
and Mark mentioned something really important. So if your puppy isn't paying attention to you, you can use that treat, put it on their nose, and guide them back toward you. Once you have that undivided attention, you can break that up a little bit. So Mark would say Rev, then reward, Rev, then reward, Rev, then reward. And really, it's a Pavlovian idea of ringing the bell, and your dog starts to associate that with something. So what you're doing with your 8-week-old puppy is you're really building value for that word by saying your puppy's name, then feeding them. It doesn't even need to be a complicated process. It's a pretty quick training opportunity, but man, oh man, does it ever build value for that name. The one thing you do have to be careful of, though, is that you're not calling your dog's name throughout times in the house where they can make a mistake. Mark mentioned that you really run the risk of reducing the value of that word if you're using your puppy's name when you don't have an opportunity to follow it up. So in the house, Mark might use something like here pup pup, or anything else other than Rev's name when he's needs to get her attention, or when he's having some fun with her in his home.
Yeah, absolutely. At that point, we're just making up nicknames that we'll have no real expectations for later. So pup 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 pup. Half the time I'll probably call her monkey monkey monkey, or something like that.
Yeah.
I will have no expectations for that word later. As opposed to her name, I will have a lot of expectations for.
Now, we are really loading a ton of great exercises into the meal times. And one thing you can do is teach your puppy that taking their collar is a really great thing. And how would you do that with Rev?
Yeah, so it's really important, because what we want is a dog that's very calm when we're grabbing their collar. We don't want to see that thing that you see all the time. Person goes to grab the collar and the dog just dekes away and wants to get away from mom or dad.
Yep.
So what we will do is we will make it worth it to the dog to allow us to grab that collar. So again, I'm going to grab food. You can see a recurring theme here.
Yes.
So I'm going to grab some food, put it on my dog's nose. While it's pretty much on the dog's nose and the dog is nibbling away at the food, I'm going to reach in, grab that collar ever so softly, say yes, good dog, give my dog the food.
Totally.
And then I'm going to multiple times just going in, grabbing, and calmly holding that collar.
Yeah, it's such a really nice opportunity to teach your dog that the moment you have control of their collar, you can then reward them. And this is something, as Mark mentioned, there are so many people who their dog they know exactly how long their arms are. They will come into that point where you can almost take hold of them. But if you start by really making it valuable to have control of your dog's collar early by gently taking their collar and then rewarding them for that, you'll very quickly teach them that it's worth being close to you, that it's worth you having control of them, because you're going to need to do it when you take their leash, when you're going to attach their leash. Maybe if you need to pick them up for one reason or another. There's just so many times you want to be able to take control of your dog's collar, and by really front-loading the value while maybe during a mealtime or while you're working with your puppy, it's such a beneficial skill. And it's a great thing to do with those brand new puppies, with those 8-week-old puppies, because it's so simple to teach. Let's talk about luring for a moment. What sort of things are you doing to teach your puppy to sit, to teach your puppy to lie down? Talk about sort of what you're doing with that 8-week-old puppy that will set them up to be faster learners as they get older.
Yeah, so again, it's nice and simple stuff with such a young puppy. We can't expect too much, and we have to make it really obvious to them what we want them to do. So what we're doing is luring, which is exactly that. All we're doing is grabbing that high value treat. I can put that treat on the nose, and then from there, just as the word says, I'm luring the dog to do the action that I want it to do. So if I want to do it on a sit, I would just place the food on the dog's nose, raise it back, and the dog is basically just following the food. The dog has no idea that it's actually doing the command, it's just following the food. And with regards to that command too, at this point, we're certainly not putting a command onto it.
Yeah.
It's simply following the food.
Yeah, that's great. And one thing I want you to be sure of is because these are brand new things for your puppy, new positions, and you're going to be really deliberate about those luring techniques. You're going to slowly guide them maybe up and into a sit. You're going to slowly bring them into a down position, and maybe if you get a little bit more advanced, you can guide them into a stand. But at no point are you using the words. We're really building on a solid foundation here, and we want to show our puppies that being in those positions is ultimately what we want them to do. But at this point, we're not associating it with the words. We're just guiding them into that sit and guiding them into that down. And by doing that, you're really setting them up so that when you do start to pair those actions with a word, they're going to learn it so much faster.
Yeah, and I will say this too, when we are luring, using that food to lure the puppy, and as Ken said, guiding the dog, remember this, that a dog has an attention span of about 6 inches.
Right.
So if that food is on my dog's nose, chances are my dog's going to follow me. As soon as it goes 6 inches away, there is way more interesting things out there for this puppy to focus on.
Absolutely. Good thing to remember with you guys with those brand new puppies at home. So now that you've given your brand new puppy all sorts of great information, you should check out that puppy training tips playlist next to us. It will give you all sorts of tips and tricks for training your puppy as they get older. On that note, I'm Ken.
I'm Mark, and this is Rev.
Happy training. Bye for now.